To be honest, this thing's a pile of doo-doo. Well, it's got Ackerman. Bombardier! The Ducati's 80 horsepower.
So this is 45
40
horsepower.
horsepower more.
That's a Volkswagen Beetle difference right there.
Ugh.
What's up, everybody? I'm John.
I'm Isaac.
And today on Cars and Cameras, we are swapping a 110 horsepower two-stroke snowmobile engine onto a regular old go-kart.
What could go wrong?
Everybody give a warm welcome to our summer intern, Peyton. He's new to the channel, but you may recognize him from Peyton's Pass.
Yes.
Named after this man.
Legendary.
One of our subscribers sent us this Bombardier two-stroke snowmobile engine, or like we like to say here in the South where we don't get snow,
Bombardier.
Bombardier. And we know that it runs. So we're gonna go ahead and get started stripping down the go-kart here, taking the plastic out from around it, taking the original engine off, and then trying to figure out how we're gonna mount this monstrosity on that teeny tiny go-kart. This build has potential to bring down our 80 horsepower Ducati powered go-kart, the Ducardi, for a few reasons, but more on that later. We bought this chassis from Virginia International Raceway's go-kart track for $150, and while we were stripping it down, we found a few areas of concern.
Bingo.
Hey,
But then I have this.
well, nice job, guys.
Man, it's a lot of weight here. This thing's gonna be lightened up a lot.
So what do you think now that you've looked at it, man? What do you think?
To be honest, this thing's a pile of doo-doo. But I mean, we're still gonna work with it some, right?
Still gonna send it. This is one of those projects where the more you look it over, the more you're like, "Huh." So we need to give it a really good once-over before we go for a test drive with 110 horsepower. The GX270 that came off of this, I don't think it ran.
We never tried.
We never tried to get it running, but I like these engines. And these go-karts are great. This was just one of the go-karts that they had put to the side and was retired, and we picked it up for, what, 150 bucks or something like that?
I don't even remember.
Jeep. All right. So Peyton, tell us, what kind of goodies are in this go-kart?
Oh, you have the quick detached seat, lightweight reduction. I'm not too sure.
It's got a muffler.
That's true.
It's got 4 wheels. Still roll.
They still hold air, surprisingly.
Yeah. It's got an extra large fuel tank. We could have used that fuel tank on the Trail 70s on the trip.
Yes. Quality.
Oh,
Man, there's an issue. What is going on
That is
here?
good.
What is going on?
Let's bolt up the engine and ride, boys.
Well, it's got Ackerman to the extreme.
it's ready for 110 horsepower, no issue.
The alignment needs to be pulled in some. She needs to be towed in a little bit. That might... I don't know. That's something we need to look into.
This is looking like a Facebook Marketplace special, boys. It'll be fine.
All right, dude. I guess we should have done this before starting this project. Measuring the engine and then frame.
Yeah. What do you got? Because I know we both just eyeballed and we're like, yeah, it's going to fit.
24 inches. That's 2 feet.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh boy, 19 inches.
19 inches. So we're either scooting the seating position over or dangling that engine off, or both.
It's already, looks like it's already over a little bit from the steering wheel, so you're already doing this number.
So with the torque converter, the engine is literally 2 feet wide.
Yes.
That is nuts.
Because if we put it behind, it's going to be a wheelie monster. And it'll probably look even funnier.
Yeah, we definitely have to stretch it.
Yeah.
and I'm really not a fan of that look.
No, they look funny stretch.
I bet they handle real
They
good.
handle better. I know they handle better. But didn't the ones we rode in Texas, weren't they beside us?
They were. They were also a lot smaller.
And they were smaller engines, yeah.
So it's looking like we're going to have to move the seat over to make room for the engine so the whole thing stays somewhat balanced with that 150 to 200 pound engine and the rider both sitting on the frame. The brakes are not working. We went out and bought some brake fluid. We're going to fill them up and see if we can get the brakes working. That way, if they don't work, we can order parts in time for them to be ready by the time we get this project finished up. So we're going to get the brakes working. Then we're going to work on stripping the engine off of the rest of the snowmobile over here and mocking it up and making man noises.
How we looking?
Not as bad as I thought.
Is it just bone dry?
Just bone dry.
Could be worse.
Got some chunks in there. There's the air. Man, I think it's a little loose. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Come on, more air bubbles. Yeah, come on. Come back to life.
You guys feeling strong?
Oh yeah. Slowly come out a little bit. Oh, she's all the way out. Got Bombardier.
You know, it's really not that big.
It's not as wide as it sounded.
That torque converter is huge though.
Oh,
And it doesn't feel too
Oh,
heavy
my.
either.
what is that on the floor? Looks like engine oil. Man. Does this thing use regular oil? And
I have no idea.
that looks like regular oil. That doesn't look like two-stroke.
Doesn't really smell like it either.
Yeah, doesn't have any smell of fuel to it.
All right, so we did some research, and this is indeed a 670cc two-stroke engine. That makes about 125 horsepower, which is going to be a whole lot of poop your pants. The fastest go-kart we've ever ridden is 90 horsepower. It's the Ducati, and it's borderline undrivable. We rode some go-karts with two-stroke snowmobile engines on them with about 50 horsepower, and those were pretty insane. So we're thinking that if this engine will fit on the drag rail, width-wise, we're gonna swap this thing onto the drag rail. So let's head over to my dad's house, and we're gonna leave it up to fate.
Here we are. Back to the old digs. Oh man. There's a car in here. Moment of truth, bud. Yeah, it's a big old nope.
Did you measure it?
No, I don't think I even have to.
Oh no, not even close.
What is it, 18?
It's 21 at the rear of where we're at.
The widest part.
Yeah. And it's 18 up front here. So that's a big no-no.
So we're back over at Ike's warehouse. The 670 Bombardier is just not going to work on the drag rail. And you know, we're here kind of looking at what engine will go on the drag rail, because we want to take the 670 4-stroke and put it on the lawnmower. And we're looking at Ike's Harley Davidson Sportster. Maybe we can find a Sportster engine and stick it on the drag rail. I don't know. He's measuring.
15 inches.
Oh, yes. So all we need is a wrecked Sportster, dude. With a good engine and transmission.
How tall, though? Remember the Ducati engine we
was
put
really
on the
tall.
rail? And it was real tall?
I think it'll be fine, dude.
This engine looks a lot taller than the 670.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure something out.
So it looks like an 883 Sportster engine is just a little bit taller than the 670 on our drag rail. So if you or you know someone that has an 883 or 1200 for sale with wiring harness, exhaust, the whole nine, let us know in the comments or shoot me an email. But anyway, for now, let's get back to building a go-kart.
All right, so we got Peyton taking the old seat off. It was all booger welded and just barely hanging on by a thread. We have another seat that is ready to go on. And I guess Ike is figuring out how we're gonna grab and package the rest of the drivetrain.
Trying.
Having fun, bud?
Oh yeah.
So we have that giant torque converter rear pulley, CVT rear pulley, to figure out where we want to put it.
The driven pulley.
The driven pulley, and then we got the driver, which is massive.
That's it. Dude, check out. This used to be a nut.
Just from all the scraping around the track?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Check it
You
out.
can see it too, what it was.
Bam.
Oh, that's nice and rusty.
Those brakes look like they're coming back to life, man.
Yeah, they're coming back.
And I like how the brake rotor is beefy, the caliper is beefy, the axle's beefy. I mean, look at the tubing.
Everything's beefy, which is what we're gonna need to put down 110 horsepower to the pavement.
Yes. And that's kind of why we chose this setup, man. I mean, it's the perfect cart for the job if there was any. So we have the go-kart and the engine mocked up on our stand here. We put Ike in the driver's seat and tried to figure out where the best place for him to sit, where it'd be comfortable, and where our weight distribution is going to be as close to center as it can. Thankfully, our engine only weighs like 80 pounds, so it can hang off to one side a lot more than the rider can, and it should still equal out using It'll Be Fine math. So next up right now, Peyton and Ike are figuring out, well, they're gonna cut out some spacers, some square tubing to mount our seat to, because it is getting moved over about 3 or 4 inches from where it was before. Hey.
Drill works. It looks kind of fast.
You should probably turn the drill off. Oh, you got it, man. You got it. Your cars and cameras don't try this home moment of the day. So what's next, man?
A little bit of the spray paint, and
Drilling?
we drilled the holes. All right, I'm hoping that it'll be lined up.
Here, want to lift it straight up?
Let's take it off, man. That one, that one, that one, and that one.
Or we can measure them just to make sure.
Just drill it.
So basically, we had to cut some 1-inch spacers to raise the seat up a little bit so we could move it over, because one of the frame rails is in the way and it's regular height. Ike says we're winging it, which sounds good to me.
Man, pilot hole would be
Pilot hole.
Center point,
No, man, we wing it here.
some thick frame. That is thick, dude.
With 2 C's.
No wonder. Yeah. No wonder this thing is so heavy. This metal's like twice as thick
As usual.
as our regular
That's good.
racing frames and stuff.
Awesome.
Well, I guess they built these frames to be
beat on.
beat on.
For years, yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened here.
That's wind up there, buddy. That looks really good. A little bit longer.
I'm gonna be honest, guys, it looks a little sketchy.
Which part?
You know, the risers, like the square tubing bolted to the rectangular tubing that's bolted to the seat frame. Like,
Well, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
it's only 120 horsepower, guys. That's like,
Only 120, yeah. I mean,
that's less than a Miata.
I mean, that's a
so
W.
it can't be fast. It
I
won't
mean,
be fast.
you ain't gonna see it with the seat on.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the seat. It moved away from the engine. I like that position.
Yeah, we got a little bit of space in there.
I feel safer with that space right there.
And you can still get legs around it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's hanging out too far.
I mean, yeah, it's a giant engine. It's gonna hang out a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it's huge. So
It's okay with me.
I think we're onto something, dude.
Ike, you had a good point, man, a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look that threatening. I mean,
No. A little.
to me, if I were to walk up to this thing, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. It's got 50 horsepower.
Something unique.
Not over 100 horsepower. And we both looked it up, and it's like 120.
110 to 120, 125, something like that.
So I'll just say
It's
120
ridiculous.
horsepower, which is ridiculous. I think we're going to start off with partial throttle on this thing.
That's an excellent idea.
Just to be safe. What are you laughing about?
Safety first for once.
Even he
It'll be
agrees. Even he agrees, and that's
Saying
something right there.
something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the real deal, guys. Look, Type 670, engine size is 669 cc's.
This is a little monster.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's an absolute monster.
No, this is the monster eater right here.
Ducati eater, monster eater. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this one, we're hoping with the torque converter setup on it, it'll be more manageable. Whereas the Ducati, you're going through them gears, and every time you snatch a gear, it's like spinning and scaring you.
The
So-
traction braking and then coming back is what makes the Ducati so terrifying.
Yeah.
This should be a little more predictable.
You know, you only got two pedals, one brake, one gas. And whereas the Ducati, clutch, brake, and gas. So,
But it does have like 20% more horsepower than the Ducati.
but I'm hoping it'll be more.
Manageable.
And you know, it doesn't have, you know, like a V-twin like the Ducati has just gobs of torque, right, from,
Yeah.
you know, down low.
Yeah.
This should be more of an RPM engine, which I'm hoping it'll
Well,
be a little more controllable.
It's
Once
gonna
you-
be about like, okay, I remember when we rode those ones in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, coming out of the hole, it wasn't horrible, and now it'd pull you. But then once the RPM started coming up,
Oh,
all
it
of a
was-
sudden it was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It was like, what? I'm sorry?
the Ducati's 80 horsepower.
So this is 45
40 horsepower more.
That's a Volkswagen Beetle difference right there.
Ugh.
And in case you think we've lost our minds, we have. But the redeeming thing about having this setup, at least the idea, is that we have a CVT transmission and not like a 5-speed. So part of what makes the Ducati utterly terrifying is that you let out on the clutch and you break traction. You hit the gas, you break traction again. And then every time you shift, you're breaking traction over and over again. So it's just a constant battle of braking, traction, and then regaining it. And on a wheelbase that short, it makes it just really, really twitchy. This, having CVT, should be a gradual, you hit that sweet spot on the gas pedal, and then you just ease on it from there. That's the thought anyway.
It's a nice thought.
Honestly, it was that and the fact that this engine straight up will not fit on any of our other projects. It is so stinking wide.
We thought about putting it on the drag rail.
It's wider than the CB750.
well, 550.
550.
550. We don't know about the 750 because we hadn't
Yeah.
measured it yet, but it's close.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, what you gonna do? It looks
Party.
like it wants to be on this frame,
Oh, it
and
wants to be
it,
here.
it kind of looks like that's what's gonna happen.
It came to party. So thanks for tuning into this episode, everybody. Leave a thumbs up if you're digging the idea so far. We are really putting the giant engine, small go-kart thing to the test. Will it even be fun? We don't know. Find out on a future episode of Cars and Cameras. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and let us know how you think it's going to handle, if you think we lost our minds. Anyway, cars-cameras.com for our merchandise. Help support the channel by picking up one of our t-shirts, one of our hats, one of our hoodies, one of our sticker packs. Find Ike at Isaac It'll Be Fine on YouTube and Instagram. Thanks again for watching. And again, give a warm welcome to our intern, Peyton. We'll catch you next time. We got a lot done on, what do we want to call this? I still want to call it the Bombardier.
I think the Bombardier is pretty good.
Yeah.
Even though it's got the Bombardier on it. You know, I hear a lot of people call them Bombardiers. So, I mean, the engines. So
Yeah.
why not call the cart the Bombardier?
The Bombardier
and you
Monster Killer 670.
know, it's gonna upset a lot of people.
Yeah.